There are many ways to grab a student's attention in a classroom, similar to the way these pictures do. I'm going to share with you a few of my ideas on how to get comic books into the classroom. You may assume students only using comic books in a leisurely way, but I can assure you that it can be used for medium and learning. So sit tight as I'll show you how some of your favorite superheroes can be used in the classroom. Okay, now let's start with a younger audience. I want you to pretend that you're a preschool or a kindergarten teacher and you're now teaching your students how to read. Instead of reading stories to them or preaching the alphabet over and over again, try this instead. Begin by having them look at a wordless comic strip like so. Now, have your students create their own story using the pictures below. As you can see, these comics don't even need words as they tell a story as their own. This is a good way to get some of your visual learners interested in reading, as they don't have to read any words or confusing symbols as they get engaged creating their own unique story. This can be used something as the early stages of a critical thinking exercise as each of your students individually get engaged in open discussion. Not to mention the good time you'll have by hearing some of the most creative responses from your students. Now, let's switch gears to an older audience. Now I want you to see yourself as a high school or middle school teacher who is now teaching your students about World War II. Instead of reading the same old textbooks and exposing them to the same movie over and over again, why don't you try this alternative instead? You can have your students read about one of the most prominent comic book figures during World War II, the Golden Avenger, Captain America himself. By reading some of his exploits, it's a good way for some of the students to grasp the concept of American patriotism during World War II. Not to mention, who never gets tired of seeing good old wingtips punching Hitler in the face? Another alternative teaching style for World War II may be about Anne Frank's diaries. Instead of having your students read this, have them read about Art Spiegelman's Pulitzer Prize-winning graphic novel, Mouse. Mouse was created by Spiegelman as he took the writings from his father's diary during the Holocaust and reimagined them into a graphic novel. As you can see, it's much similar to Anne Frank's diaries. This can prove to be an interesting alternative to reading Anne Frank, as it is both historically accurate and critically acclaimed for its superb writing. As you can probably start to imagine, like it or not, comics are very deep-rooted into our history. Take Iron Man, for example. He's an industrial hero who has a lot of fabricated armor at his disposal. And if you take a closer look at his rogues gallery, you'll notice that most of his villains are Russian. As you can see, Iron Man can be used to teach students about the Industrial Revolution and the American mindset during the Cold War. You could also take a closer look at Spider-Man. If you notice, he represents that even the smallest person can make a difference. Yes, you, hot dog vinegar guy, and of course, you too, McLovin. Now, let's take a look at some of these more advanced graphic novels for the upper level classes. Let's start with these two guys. The hippie on the left with the beard is Alan Moore, and the dark and gloomy guy to the right is Frank Miller. These guys are directly involved in creating some of the most controversial graphic novels, such as Watchmen, Sin City, and 300. Each of these novels can be critically evaluated and discussed on the upper level with just a sheer amount of content inside them. The topics covered inside, each related to both social and political strikes within society. It dares you to travel into the minds of these authors and see just how far the rabbit hole goes. What other endings can you think of require the death of 3 million citizens for world peace? Looking back, you see that comics can be used in many more ways than just some collectibles in a nerdy guy's basement. Hopefully this is a step into the future where most teachers have integrated comics into their curriculum. I'm challenging you to think outside of stereotypes and open your world to something new. This is T. Hart, signing out.